All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate y'all taking some time out of your day to go ahead and watch the video. Today we're going to talk about bracket racing. That's going to be the main topic. But I do have to give out a shout out to Paint Correction by Associated. They did an awesome job on shake and bake. We're going to do a walk around, then we'll do a cold start, and then I'll talk a little bit about Paint Correction by Associated again, and then we'll get into the bracket racing. I mean, there's not one swirl, one scratch. Everything is clean, smooth, shiny. The paint correction is awesome, and like I said, they also put down some ceramic coating as well, so that way I don't have to worry about washing it as hard as I used to. So I know it's probably hard to tell in the video, but I'm here to tell you they did one bang up job. So let's get into it. And of course, I almost forgot the most important thing, the cold start. All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hey, again, appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. If you're stopping in for the first time, hey, please check out the rest of my content. And if you like what's going on with the channel, you know, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit the like button on those videos that you like, and throw a comment here and there. That'd be great. But as you can see, if you look behind me, we are packed up, ready to go to Rockingham, North Carolina, to do the Modern Street Hemi Shootout. So we're going to do the heads up racing on Saturday, and I think the bracket race is held on Sunday. So I'm going to get moving here, and we're going to talk about you know, what is bracket racing, you know, what it's all about, how to do it, and all the intricacies of bracket racing. All right, everyone, so you saw it on the intro, heard it on the intro, saw it on the thumbnail. We're going to talk about bracket racing for a few. So if you already know and understand bracket racing, you may want to go ahead and cut off this video now. But if you're interested in bracket racing and don't really have a firm concept of what it is and how it works, I'm going to try and break it down as much as I know. I am by far not an expert, but I know enough to give you the down low on the major pieces of bracket racing. And the thing about bracket racing, what it does is it tries to level the playing field between super fast cars and not so fast cars. So if you have a slow car, you technically could win a bracket race against a car that, you know, say your car runs 12.5. You could win a bracket race against a car that runs, you know, 9s. And I'll explain how that works in a minute. But you don't have, for bracket racing, you don't have to have the fastest car to win the race. The two things, and we're going to explain them in detail, so hopefully you guys get a good understanding of each. The two things about bracket racing are your dial-in time and your reaction time. And kind of a third thing is running consistent times, and that goes into the dial-in piece. So let's start with the hardest part, is doing the dial-in. Excuse me. Okay, so what dial-in means is normally before a bracket race, you're gonna get you're going to get a number of timed runs before you actually start racing. And what those timed runs are designed for is for you to run your car, check your time, and then determine what your dial-in time is. So dial-in time is going to become really important when we talk about winning and losing races. But your dial-in time, say for example, your two runs, you run a 12.51 and a 12.53, right? So those are two pretty consistent runs. So from that, me personally, I would look at probably dialing in at a 12.51 or a 12.50. And the reason for that is you're pretty consistent in that 12.5. So you want it definitely 12.5, and then the hundredths of a second, that gets a little really technical and specific, but normally they want you, you know, with at least 2 decimal points. So I would dial in with like a 12.1, 12.51 or 12.50. And why dial-ins become important is because that begins to determine basically the head start you're gonna get on someone that's faster than you, or it's gonna give the head start to someone that's slower than you. So for example, we dial in at a 12.50. The car next to us, they dial in at 11.50. Okay? So when you look at the tree, when you go, you're gonna get a 1 second head start because he dialed in a full second faster than you. Okay? On the reciprocal side, if you dial in a 12.50 and the guy next to you dials in a 13.50, that guy next to you is gonna get that 1 second head start. So that's why dial-in is super important when it comes to bracket racing, because if you dial in too low, say we dialed in a 12.35 and the guy next to me dialed in an 11.5, and I run consistent 12.5s, I just lost, you know, that few tenths of a second of a head start that I would have got if I would have dialed in at 12.5. So you may have to rewind that and listen to it a couple times, but it's super important when it comes to drag racing. And same thing on the other side. You know, if he dials in a 12.5 or an 11.5 and his car runs consistently 11.7s, he's giving up 2/10 of a second to someone that's racing faster than him or slower than him. So you don't want to give away time, and that's what happens with your dial-in time if you don't get it right. So also with the dial-in time, what could happen theoretically if you run faster than your dial-in time, then they call you breaking out. So if you dial in at a 12.5 and for example you run a 12.4, that means now you broke out and you lose the race. And you lose the race because I don't want to say you lied on your dial-in time, but you basically was trying to get an advantage on another guy by dialing in, you know, a super slow dial-in time, and then wind up going faster trying to win the race. So that's the big thing about bracket racing, is you really got to pay attention to the dial-in time. I can't stress that enough. I know I've said it 5 or 6 times already, but the dial-in time is super important. Probably the most important piece of bracket racing. So the second piece of bracket racing is now your reaction time. So depending upon your reaction time, right, you could pick up tenths of a second, or then again you could lose tenths of a second on your reaction time. So what's going to happen is, and this is any race, whether it's bracket racing or heads-up racing. Sorry about that. Had to move over. Reaction time becomes important because, again, you could gain time or you could lose time. So another example of this is, say you both dial in at 12.5s, right? So you're both dialed in at 12.5, and so it's pretty well a heads-up match. And you pull up to the line, you see the lights, you take off, and now his reaction time is, say, 0.100. And your reaction time, we'll say you cut a perfect light, a 0.000, right? So you already picked up a tenth on that guy beside you. So it literally a heads up, no kidding, heads up race, dialing at the same time, running the same times. The faster, the quicker reaction time is going to give you, you know, that head start on the guy next to you. So that's the second. I think the second most important piece of bracket racing is your reaction time. So if you're thinking about doing a bracket race, one, make sure what kind of tree that they're using. So there's the normal tree, which goes green, yellow, 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 or red, yellow, 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 green. And then there's the pro tree that goes red, green, and you're gone. So what you want to do if you're at, you know, a test and tune or something like that, go ahead and start practicing on your reaction time. Another place you can, specifically the pro tree, where you can practice, as long as you don't have a lot of traffic or anything like that, use a red light. A red light is good for helping you with your pro tree reaction time, because literally it goes from red to green, and then, you know what, right, then you go. So ways you can win bracket racing. Kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but ways you can win at bracket racing is, one, you get a good reaction time, your dial in time is spot on, and you just outrun the other guy. It's still a race to the finish line, but you don't want to break out. So that's the one way you can win, is just flat out good reaction time, good dial in time, and you beat the guy to the finish line. That's one way you can win. Now when it comes to breaking out, there's a couple ways you can still win even if you break out. So for example, back to the 11.5 and 12.5 that we were running. Okay, so we go ahead, we race, and it winds up, he runs an 11.4 and I run, you know, a 12.5.5. So he broke out because he ran faster than I did, or he ran faster than his dial-in time. So he technically loses the race. The next way you can win the race is, for example, 11.5 and the 12.5 example again. You run the race, he runs an 11.4 and I run a 12.4.5. So now technically we both broke out because we ran faster than our dial-in times. I would win that race because I broke out closer to my dial-in time by 0.05 of a second. He, on the other hand, was a full 10th off of his dial-in time. So those are the two ways you can win off of win or lose off of your dial-in time. So yeah, bracket racing's fun. It tries to level the playing field, you know, between faster cars and slower cars. I did my first one a couple weeks ago at the Maryland International Raceway. It was a good time. It was a good time. Unfortunately, I lost my first race. It was a close race, and we both dialed in with 12.4s. I think mine was a 12.47, and his was like a 12.45, I think. So it was a really close race from the get-go anyway. My reaction time was a little slower than him, and that's really what hurt me, because our dial-ins were so close. You know, speed down the track really didn't matter. It was really the reaction time. So again, reaction time comes into it, and your dial-in time. So those are the ways you can win, lose, or draw when it comes to a bracket race. There's some other nuances, but they're super technical, and I don't really understand them, so I don't want to get into them. But in the big portions, I just outlined for you to hopefully give you a good idea of what a bracket race is, how you can win, how you can lose, and some of the nuances. So hey, that's going to do it for this one. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, if you're stopping in for the first time, please go ahead and check out my other content. And if you like what's going on with the channel, you're going to see a lot of drag racing. I'm starting to do a lot of drag racing as the tracks are opening up. The modern street Hemi shootouts are opening up. The tracks are holding races. I'm going to try and get into some of those. So you're going to see a lot of drag racing, you know, heads up stuff, and bracket races. So if you like what's going on with the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and hit that like button on those videos that you like. And like I say, throw a comment out there on a couple. I try and return everybody's comments, at least say a little something to let you know that I'm reading it and I care about your comments. You know, I like everyone's attitude on the channel. Got a lot of great comments, especially when I'm asking for, you know, your thoughts on what I should do next to Shake and Bake. When I ask for opinions, everybody comes back with great opinions. You know, right now there's no, you know, animosity on the channel. There's no, I'm sure sooner or later the trolls will show up, but don't really have any of those quite yet. So it's really been a great experience so far. So that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate everyone, again, that's subscribed and taking time out of the day to watch the videos. I really do appreciate it. That's going to wrap it up for this one. Until next time, adios.